What if I told you that the hardest worker in the NBA was destroyed not by an opponent, not by a single bad landing, but by 15 years of refusing to stop? January 20th, 2026. Chase Center, San Francisco. Jimmy Butler catches a contested pass in the paint. Davion Mitchell fouls him. Butler lands. And then, silence. His right knee buckles. His body crumples. And just like that, the man who built his entire legacy on outworking pain could not stand it all. This is the story of the most predictable injury in NBA history. By the end of this breakdown, you will understand exactly why Jimmy Butler's ACL is living on borrowed time. But here is what no one is talking about. The very thing that made Butler elite, the 4 a.m. workouts, the cryotherapy chambers, the refusal to take a single day off, that did not protect him. It accelerated his destruction. Let us rewind the tape. 7 minutes and 41 seconds into the third quarter. Butler receives a pass from Brandon Podziemski. Mitchell makes contact. But here is the critical detail everyone missed. The collision did not tear the ACL. The landing did. This was what we call a non-contact mechanism. About 70% of all ACL ruptures happen this way. No enemy, no villain, just your own body betraying you. Think of it like this. Imagine a suspension bridge. The ACL is the main cable. Now imagine that cable has been quietly fraying for years. One day, a routine truck crosses, and the whole thing collapses. The truck did not cause the failure. It was just the final load on a system already compromised. So what actually happened inside Butler's knee? First, dynamic knee valgus. Your knee caving inward, like a building collapsing from the inside. Your hip rotates wrong, your knee buckles medially, and suddenly all the force crushes one specific structure. The ACL. Second, anterior tibial translation. Your shin bone slides forward relative to your thigh bone. The ACL provides about 85% of the resistance against this. When that restraint fails, game over. Now here's the question. Why did Butler's ACL fail on this particular landing when he had survived thousands before? Butler is 36 years old. And in sports medicine, age is not just a number, it is a countdown. Your ACL is made of collagen, essentially biological rope. Picture a brand new climbing rope, tight, organized, strong. Now imagine that same rope after 20 years of use. The fibers become disorganized, the blood supply diminishes, the molecular structure starts unwinding at the microscopic level. Type 1 collagen becomes significantly less elastic with age. It is like comparing a fresh rubber band to one sitting in a drawer for a decade. The old one looks fine until you stretch it, and then it snaps without warning. By 36, Butler's ACL had undergone 2 decades of mechanical loading. Every drive to the basket, every defensive slide, every explosive cut, each one leaving invisible damage that never healed. But it gets worse, because Butler was not just dealing with age, he was dealing with accumulation. 2018 meniscus injury, right knee. That is the shock absorber. Damage that? Your knee mechanics change permanently. 2024 MCL sprain, right knee. It signaled something ominous. Butler's knee was already experiencing repeated valgus stress. The exact stress pattern that destroys ACLs. 2026 ACL rupture. The trilogy completes. This was not bad luck. This was a cascade. Research shows that prior injury to the same knee can increase your risk by 50 to 80%. Butler was not rolling the dice. He was playing Russian roulette with a loaded gun. Now let us talk about the elephant in the room. Tom Thibodeau. During the 2013 to 2014 season, Jimmy Butler led the entire NBA in minutes per game at 38.7. The next season, same thing. He led the league in minutes for 2 consecutive years under Thibodeau. And here is where it gets absurd. Thibodeau once played Butler for all 48 minutes of a preseason game in 2012. A preseason game. I am not here to vilify Thibodeau. Butler wanted those minutes. But here is what the science tells us. Cumulative load is a silent killer. Think of your ligaments like a credit card. Every minute you play, you are borrowing against your body's future. The interest compounds, and eventually, the bill comes due. By the time Kobe Bryant tore his Achilles, he had logged over 54,000 minutes. Butler had accumulated similarly extreme usage. The research is clear. Even moderate activity creates cumulative stress that, over seasons, predisposes athletes to tissue failure. Butler was not destroyed by one bad landing. He was destroyed by a decade of never taking his foot off the gas. Butler was famous for his recovery protocols. Cryotherapy chambers at -150 degrees Celsius. Hyperbaric oxygen therapy. Ice baths. Infrared saunas. Every tool modern sports science could offer. So why did it not work? Because here's the brutal truth. They manage symptoms. They do not restore tissue. Imagine your car's check engine light goes on. Pain and inflammation are your body's check engine light. But what Butler was essentially doing was putting tape on your dashboard light and saying, "Great, problem solved." When Butler stepped into a cryotherapy chamber, his blood vessels narrowed and inflammation decreased. He felt better. He could train harder the next day. But that inflammation, that was his body's warning system. Evolution designed pain and swelling to force you to rest, to heal, to rebuild. By eliminating those signals, Butler could sustain training volumes that his tissues were not built to handle. The 4 a.m. workouts that made him a legend became the engine of his destruction. Let us zoom out. Because this is not just about biomechanics, it is about psychology. Jimmy Butler was homeless at 13. His mother looked him in the eyes and said, quote, "I do not like the look of you. You got to go," end quote. He eventually found stability with the Lambert family in Tomball, Texas. They had 6 other children already. That experience rewired his entire nervous system. It taught him that pain is temporary, that stopping means dying, that the only way to earn your place in the world is to never quit. This philosophy worked. It took him from a 2-star recruit, not even ranked in the top 300, to an all-NBA player. It carried him to the NBA Finals twice. It built an empire. But here's the paradox. The same psychology that made Butler unstoppable also made him incapable of protecting himself. When his body screamed for rest, his mind said push through. When medical staff recommended load management, his identity said that is for the weak. When every warning sign pointed to catastrophic failure, his survival instinct said, ignore it. The ultimate warrior was defeated not by an opponent, but by his own inability to stop being a warrior. So what happens now? Butler will almost certainly undergo a PTE reconstruction. Bone, patellar tendon, bone. The gold standard for elite athletes. The rehabilitation timeline? Realistically, 12 to 18 months before he can return to competitive basketball. But history offers a sobering lesson. Kobe Bryant tore his Achilles at 34. After his return, Kobe was never the same. His scoring dropped from over 27 points per game to less than 14. He played only 66 games total before retiring. Derrick Rose tore his ACL at 23, 8 months after winning MVP. Despite his youth, Rose never regained his MVP form. He went from one of the most explosive players in the league to a journeyman role player. Butler is 36 with a more extensive injury history than either of them. Research shows that around 78 to 80% of NBA players return to play after ACL reconstruction. But here's the catch. Returning to play is not the same as returning to your previous level. Studies show significant declines in performance metrics, especially for players over 30. And even if Butler beats those odds, the Warriors' championship window just slammed shut. Here is what I want you to take away from this. Jimmy Butler built his career on the belief that will can overcome limitation. That if you work harder than everyone else, if you refuse to quit, you can achieve anything. And for 15 years, that belief was validated, over and over again. But the ACL tear reveals the boundary of that philosophy. Will cannot overcome the physics of tissue degradation. Confidence cannot restore the elasticity of ligaments. A childhood of survival cannot teach you when survival requires stopping. Butler's body at 36 is not the same body that powered him to stardom. Every minute on the court changed him at the cellular level. The hardest worker in the NBA was not broken by weakness. He was broken by the accumulation of his own refusal to acknowledge weakness. And that is the cruelest irony of all. If you learned something from this breakdown, hit that subscribe button. I break down the science behind every major sports team so you can understand what is really happening. Drop a comment below. Do you think Butler can come back? And if you want to see my breakdown of Derrick Rose's injury history and how it compares to Butler's, that video is right here. I am Sebastian. This has been the Injury Breakdown, and I will see you in the next one.